Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing another video, and this time it's about the recent Tom Cruise controversy. Hopefully none of his religious adherents will come after me for this video, but I think we're well established that, the Church of Scientology is pretty much diminished as far as their power, as far as going after people for stuff, so I'm not really that worried. Since 2006, 2007, they've continually been pushed down with all the stuff that happened. That happened with it. So apparently he's on a movie set. God, I don't even know what movie it was. Mission Impossible 25 or whatever. By the way, the first Mission Impossible is a classic film. I'm talking about the modern iteration, of course. Brian De Palma directed it, so I mean he's my favorite film director, probably along with John Carpenter. So I'm a big fan of both those directors. So I do like the original Mission Impossible for that reason, from the 90s. I mean, late 90s. So apparently, what happened was two crew members or something weren't socially distancing more than 6 feet apart. So Tom Cruise went on a tirade and yelled and swore, which he usually doesn't do. That kind of reminds me like when, like squeaky clean people, I'm not saying he's squeaky clean, I'm just saying like when their public persona is more squeaky clean, start swearing, it sounds a little off. Like Anthony Robbins, of all people, started swearing more, and it just seems a little weird. And I guess he does it on purpose now for his like shaking your state or whatever, you wrote it, whatever, I don't know, I haven't followed a lot of Tony Robbins' modern stuff. I still follow some of his old stuff, but not really his modern thing. So this is the problem I have with the Tom Cruise thing. It's not like Newsom or one of these governors or mayors where, they're out at a restaurant, hugging people, shaking hands, no mask on, close proximity with your friends, and then saying, oh, you can't meet with people, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do another video about the Dane County guidelines, by the way, later on today, probably. So it's not anything like that. But the problem is, dude, I mean, you are a fucking, like, part of a criminal organization that separates people. Oh, that's kind of funny, that person that, it's ironic because he does, because his religion he's involved with, which I know a lot about, actually. I've read numerous books about it. I kind of have actually an obsession with Scientology. I own like 20 books on Scientology and even L. Ron Hubbard novels and stuff. I really would recommend the book Fear, one of his early his early horror novels that he did. I think it's quite a good book. And did I read anything else? I don't think I made it through. Mission Earth. Battlefield Earth is not as bad of a book as the movie is, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. I've heard that his Mission Earth series is pretty much shit, but it was ghost-ridden, a lot of it, believe it or not. I know a lot about the Church of Scientology, so if anybody has any questions, I will tell them. I actually do buy into some of the free zone people that have come out and kind of tied it into like Gnosticism, the occult, and like magic, Aleister Crowley, and some other stuff. They've kind of wheedled down some of it a bit, like into there's this book, and I forgot what it's called, and it's only an ebook. It's by this former Scientologist. By the way, EST is another former Scientologist. Another former Scientologist was Charles Manson. The Process Church was former Scientologists. So it's kind of influenced a lot of people. I think some of the precepts and stuff have actually influenced a lot of people. There's a lot to do with Eastern religion too in there too. So I find it really fascinating. I've read all about it. I think Ron was onto something early on, even though his own hubris and flawed psychology himself kind of got to him in the end. And of course, it's a cult, and I won't deny that. So anyways, back to Tom Cruise, which is not this is about. So Tom Cruise goes on to yell at these people and does this rant, and George Clooney backs him up. Oh my God, we've got to yell at these plebs that are less than 6 feet apart when they're crew members on our great overhyped blockbuster films that we're filming, you know. So I have a lot of problems. Tom Cruise is essentially supporting a criminal organization with his, you know, his religion. He's actually had people that were close to slave labor work on stuff for him in the past as well. And, you know, you can watch Leah Remini, who'll back this up. Any former Scientologist will back up the fact that Tom Cruise is actually one of the worst as far as the celebrities that are in the cult. John Travolta, I've heard, is actually, for all his faults, you know, as far as possible sexual can't talk. Some of his sexual, like, assault allegations are a little problematic, but other than that, as far as I've heard, he's supposedly like one of the nicest people in Scientology or out. Of course, that doesn't mean that some of the stuff, you know, that he supports within the church is not bad. You know, it just means that he's a little bit, like, former Scientologists have come out and said, like, if anyone would leave the church, they, like, any really high profile person, I'm not saying that Leah Remini isn't high profile, but I mean super high profile, it would be him. It'd be Travolta, because he's like the nicest person and actually gives a shit, but it's like he keeps in the church for various reasons. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about Scientology and just talk about Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise is a rich fucking person, is perceived as a lunatic. And he's perceived as, you know, being in this crazy cult and having this, like, his star has diminished, obviously. I mean, he did, was that comedy film a couple years back, you know, and then kind of saved his face a little bit. But for the most part, like, his star is diminished in Hollywood. I mean, he still does blockbusters and stuff, but it's not nearly at the level it was. And people, oh, Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise, oh, he's crazy, he jumped the couch. You know, people still remember that. So when we hear about him yelling about, you know, COVID shit, about someone that's not 6 feet apart, you know, on a crew, first thing we think is, like, I mean, if it was, you know, if it was like someone like Christian Bale, we'd be like, oh, he's crazy, but he has a point. But with Tom Cruise, it's like, I mean, some people would think that, okay. And it would be more justified than with Tom Cruise, who's a lunatic. I mean, I don't even know if Scientology considers the virus real. It might be an engram. It might be some kind of, like, to them, it might be some kind of fucking psychological disorder. You know, if you read about Scientology, you know that a lot of stuff is caused by the psychiatrists, you know, fucking the psychiatrists, you know, the people that are in control of this reality. You know, I've read, I mean, I know all the OT levels and shit. There was, I wish they would, like, release all the OT levels, like, and stuff, like, anyways, that's a whole other subject. His best friend is a tyrant. He's a fucking tyrannical little fucking Napoleonic piece of shit. As far as what we've heard, abusive as fuck to his flock. So when Tom Cruise comes out and oh my God, people aren't social distancing on the movie set, fucking assholes. It's like, the first thing you think is, like, first thing I thought was, like, oh my God, are they trying to just, like, make people that, you know, it's almost like someone that's, like, a skeptic would make this shit up. Like, say, you know, like, it was almost like the Great Barrington Declaration would pay someone like Tom Cruise to come out and say stuff like that. Because people do not like, Tom Cruise is fucking perceived as a lunatic already. So it's not going to help. It's bad PR. I mean, having an actor that, like, I mean, for one, the negativity and the hatred and the elitism that it shows is, you know, very off-putting in the first place. But if it weren't for him being a fucking lunatic Scientologist, I mean, and one of the highest level ones by far, then it would be even like if it weren't for that, then it would still be like, oh yeah, that actor, yeah, whatever. Well, it's kind of fucked up how he yelled at people or whatever. I don't even know the whole story, but I read it pretty quickly. I think he yelled, and then it was also like he went on a video tirade and shit and threatened to fire people and stuff. It's like, and we would be like, oh yeah, just another narcissistic actor. Oh, but I have a point. You know, a lot of people would be like, oh, he has a point about that, but blah, blah, blah. You know, but the fact that he's like in a crazy cult, I mean, that discredits a lot of the type of stuff, the thing that he's doing. And people, normal people that are, you know, afraid and alarmist about the virus will see that and be like, I mean, it's just like, oh man, what? You know, people will be like that. Anybody that knows about the religion will know, and the history of Tom Cruise. I know the history. You don't know the history of Tom Cruise. I do. You know, I was just paraphrasing something he said. So, I mean, people do have amnesia, but Tom Cruise's star has diminished. I think it's almost to get his name in the fucking press. You know, like he hasn't done like a huge hit movie in a while. You know, I think Minority Report and maybe some of the is that Jack Reacher that has him? I can't remember. But he's doing a new movie, so he has to get his name in the press, controversy, you know, PR, you know, who knows. But anyways, that's all.